Hi, Chris.
Hi.
Avocado Properties.
Hello.
Tell me why you named it that.
There's no really great story for it, I'm afraid. Basically, my business partner Ian was on holiday. This is while we were all planning everything and putting everything together. We didn't have a name. And he was on the beach and he was wearing...
I love this story.
He was just wearing... It's not even a story, it's just a really basic explanation. But he was wearing a certain patterned shorts, swim shorts, and sent a photo saying that's what it's going to be called. And he was wearing swim shorts with avocados on.
Okay.
Great, isn't it?
You could have gone knees,
Could have.
shorts,
Could have.
but you chose avocado.
But we chose avocado.
Yeah.
And I think when we first came up with the name, it was a case of, well, I'm a little bit embarrassed by it. It sounds a bit cheesy, but it's... hindsight's a wonderful thing, but it has become a brand. And
Yeah, but I think it's coming from the seed, isn't it? And you've expanded out.
good analogy. I like
Yeah.
that.
That's a
see,
good
see,
analogy.
see,
Did
you
you think of that before?
No, we didn't.
There you are. See, you can use that, Chris. Carry on, Bevan.
Thanks, I'll have that one for free then.
Yeah, because I know that we've chatted to you before, haven't
Yeah.
we? And this is kind of a catch-up. But from my point of view, it was great to know. Because I always think businesses that are called nothing to do with what they are, there's something catchy about it. Yeah, apple.
That's kind of
orange.
it. And I think we went through quite a lot of different names and do we just amalgamate a bunch of, do we take a few letters from each of our surnames and create a word and call it blah blah whatever we want, but just Gray and Co doesn't sound particularly
No, but it sounds
exciting.
normal, doesn't it? There's
Well, it
nothing
does.
normal about the way that you do it. You do it in an individual bespoke way.
That's it. And I think it's become a brand. And I think given that the business is a year and a half old now, and it was only literally sort of not even 6 months old, I think last time we came down for a chat, but it's gone bananas. Avocado's gone bananas.
That's when you're supposed to say,
Almost,
it's
is that
gone
your plan?
avocado. No, that would sound like it failed,
So
but
that's
no.
crazy, isn't it? You started it in lockdown
Yes.
and you thought, I know what we'll do. We'll start a business.
Yeah.
And your background is in property.
Yes. 23
And
years.
you obviously wanted to do it differently. How is it different?
It's different because it's giving the consumer, the seller and the buyer, should we say, a different option. You've got traditional high street, you've got the online model, and slotted right in the middle of that, you've now got bespoke, which is what it's just been called. And giving the consumer another option that naturally I would sit here and say is clearly better for the client and the buyer, to be fair, just makes things an awful lot easier because from a client's perspective, you're dealing with the business owner. So if you came to me saying, Chris, I'm thinking of selling my house, can you come and see me and have a chat? You're dealing with the business owner. It's my business. And you're not going to speak with anyone else. Anyone else
So
at all.
you've got a vested interest to make sure that
Completely.
you put something professional together.
Well, everything, every element of it. So it's not just a case of I'm Mr. Traditional High Street agent, come out and see you, and I'm a lister, so to speak. So my job is solely to go out and list property. My job is to go out and see you and do the whole process and cover the whole process for you, but just making things ultimately easier for you, and that's what it's about.
It must be exhausting as well, though.
Oh, it's hard work. Don't get me wrong. It's hard work. And I think sometimes I could do with another couple of me, which is coming. It's in the background. And watch this space later this year. But it is expanding at a very, very rapid rate. But I'm not going to overload myself. There are times where I will and have stopped listing properties for a couple of weeks, so I'm not overloading myself. I don't want to deal with 100 properties at a time. You can't provide a good service, a bespoke service, a personal service to when you're trying to spin that many plates. You're going to drop them.
So how many do you take on then?
I take on roughly 10 a month. And roughly sell 10 a month is kind of how it is now.
Right.
When I initially launched, I set myself a personal target of saying, sell one house a month. Just being, you've got to have some sort of goal to work towards. But okay, fine. I did, 5 times that in the first 12 months, which was absolutely phenomenal for me, and it exceeded my own expectations with how well it went. And so far, business levels, year on year, coming to the end of the first quarter, it's now nearly 70% up on where I was this time last year. So
people, you're obviously doing something right, and people are liking your way of doing things.
I think I am, yeah. And I'm not big headed enough to say, I'm the bee's knees. But look, I've done the job for 23 years, soon to be 24. So, I'm an experienced estate agent, but I don't look like a typical estate agent. I certainly don't. Well, hopefully, don't sound like one. But I just want to demonstrate that actually you can be a decent human being. So I'm not saying other agents are not decent human beings, but I'm a normal person. I'm a person like you, like you or I.
So the last time we spoke to you, it was you'd been going for 6 months.
Yeah.
So you can't have had that many complete and go through the whole process at that time.
No, because when you going through the process, the gestation period for a sale at the moment is roughly 3 to 4 months. It's quite long for various reasons. Blame COVID, but yeah. So yes, it was ramping up. So there was a good amount of listing going on. The selling was happening. I had a few completions by that point, but now it's. Yeah, it's.
So you must have had, day one before, or just before day one when you decided to start. You must have thought, what are the pitfalls of the other things? What didn't I like about the other way of doing stuff? So what would you say was the how you wanted to make it different?
For starters, I didn't want to wear a suit anymore. I don't think I need to. I don't think agents need to. I think it's a bit of an old hat thing now. I appreciate there are people that like the traditional element to that part of the business, and I absolutely fully respect and support that. I'm different. I can deal with any sector of the market, all ages, doesn't matter to me. Okay, whilst a lot of the time I'm sitting here in very nice clean white trainers and chinos or jeans or whatever, and but that's how I feel comfortable to dress. And I have this conversation with a lot of people asking, for starters, how do you expect an estate agent to look? And I think it's less of an issue now. I don't think suits are needed. Agents are starting to take note of the traditional agents because they're wearing less suit kind of attire these days. They might not wear a tie. It's getting more casual.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Oh, he's an estate agent.
That's it. And they tell you can spot us from a mile. We can't, not with me anymore, but you can spot agents from a mile off. They turn up in a BMW, whatever. And it's very obvious, isn't it? But again, not that I have a problem with that, but I just wanted everything about my business to be different.
Including, as before you started talking, you're talking about the end of the sale on completion day.
Oh yeah, well that's a big difference, and it still almost frustrates me when I see over social media, because obviously we're all, not all agents are on social media yet, but I'm all over it. But I see agents sort of posting photos of people outside their offices with a cheap £5 bottle of Lamborghini or whatever, and a little certificate saying congratulations. But they've made the client, the seller or the buyer, go to their office to pick up or drop off a key, and it's just like, well, come on. You can spend 10 minutes out of your day to run over, pick up the key. People have got enough to do on the day of completion, managing kids, pets, removals, everything else. There's a lot to do. And, I had a completion last year, which was down in Southampton. It's an old client of mine who saw what I was doing, asked me to sell the property in Southampton. But why not? So I did.
Now, out by the sea?
Exactly. But on completion day, I drove down there with a completion hamper, with some lovely bespoke flowers made by my local florist in Frimley. Does an amazing job, by the way. Unique flowers in Frimley. Sorry, got to plug. She's brilliant.
Absolutely.
And I went down there with a completion package, and for buyer and the seller, and met the client at the house that they were moving from, helped them load up the van, left the completion package in there, met the buyers at the house, went over then to my sellers. I got there before they did. I picked up the key, I went in, I dropped their completion hamper off in there as well. So when they walked in, opened the doors, there was a nice little completion hamper with some bottle of bubbles, champagne and flowers and chocolate, stuff for the kids and the dog, that
so it's made specifically for each family or each couple.
It's such, they're not cheap, of course, but it's not about that. It's just a nice gesture to finish off what has, in a lot of cases, been quite a stressful transaction.
Because people, wasn't it? They say it's one of the most stressful things you can do after death and divorce.
Absolutely, yeah, and I still think it is completely. But I think it's just completions should be to a certain point celebrated. People sell properties and buy properties for all sorts of different reasons, and I appreciate not all of them are there to be celebrated, so to speak, but it's closure,
respected. That's
it. So I think you're giving on the completion day, it's closure. Whatever the reason for selling a bike, it's closure. And I think why not just make a bit of a song and dance about it, whatever the situation, and just make things easier for your buyer and your seller. and just go and deliver the keys for them. It's not difficult.
It sounds like it's the most really important thing to you, and that's how you can make those decisions, by having it as your own business. You can go, I'm doing this no matter what.
That's it. I remember when I used to work down here on Park Street for a certain agent who, a great agent, but there was none of that. People, you weren't allowed to go and deliver the keys. And it's just like, well, it's
what was the reason?
Just because too busy in the office, or needed to have 4 people in the office at any one time, and I understand that. I do. I just think there's a better way of doing it, and that's my whole point for doing.
But this is his point of difference, isn't it?
Yeah, USP.
Yeah, USP.
That's it. And I know there are some agents out there that will go and hand deliver keys, and good, get involved, do it. That's how it should be. And I'm not saying the way I do everything is always absolutely right, but I think most of the time
it's your way.
It's my way, and it's and I think as I say, not sitting here saying I'm the best thing since sliced bread, but I just give people a different option. And I've had lovely things said, lovely reviews left on the social media pages, and it's lovely. So I don't think I'm doing much wrong in that respect.
How do you get the word out about what you do and how you do it then?
Social media was a big thing at the start, obviously lockdowns, etc. That when we launched the business, so we were very, very social media heavy. Now firms, any firm, not just a estate agency, but social media is an absolute goldmine. Yes, it's expensive to use properly, but worth its weight in gold, quite frankly. And that's initially where everything was going out. The pages, have grown very nicely.
So did you have a skill set in that to start with?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Where did you learn it then?
Well, thanks to Facebook. They're good. When you're going to throw a lot of money at them, they'll quite happily train you in how to throw more money at them.
Oh, will they?
Facebook's a big animal. It's a matrix in terms of how it works and all its algorithms. But I think any firm these days, really, whatever the business within reason, that's not using social media, You've got to. It's a way of people constantly seeing what you're up to and following you, seeing whether you're the right kind of person for them. I'm very, very exposed on social media because I put out there what I'm doing all the time, every single day.
So people know where to find you at any given moment.
That as well. It's an exposure thing from a business perspective and brand awareness, but also, more importantly than any of that, I also use it to sell my listings and create awareness of them, and that's an absolutely critical part
of selling a house.
Is getting exposure. It's not just Rightmove, Zoopla and the various other smaller portals these days. I get probably about just under 40% of my viewings from Facebook.
Wow.
Absolutely. The thing is with you as well, because we haven't mentioned it here, is you are the face as well of Avocado.
That's it.
He will literally take you around the house.
He's got green skin.
And he doesn't wear a costume when he's walking around the house like an avocado.
No, that might be for a Halloween special, perhaps.
Yeah. So you take everybody around the houses.
Absolutely. I have full accountability for everything that happens during the transaction. Mm-hmm. Everything, marketing, the valuing, the listing, the videos, because I create the videos myself as well. So they're not outsourced to anyone. There's no third party involvement.
And you learn how to do that as well.
Yeah, I've always had a keen interest in videography anyway. But having gone through and having made hundreds of videos now, professionally as well, using the setup that I've got to do it, it's it's a passion. It's always been a bit of a hobby, but it's a passion now. I've invested very heavily in the gear that I use to do it. And when I turn up to people's houses now, they think I'm moving in because I've got two massive flight cases, full of cameras and drones and microphones and all sorts of videography paraphernalia.
So do people go, oh gosh, I haven't dusted around there, and he's going to see it because he's got a drone?
Yeah, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, people sort of say, oh, no, the roof's not clean. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
The roof's not clean.
Photoshop's a wonderful thing. No, I don't Photoshop
you can't do
things.
That, yeah.
You can't do that. But yeah, it's all about just doing things differently, but just basically being able to completely tailor your approach to each client that you're dealing with.
And you have to be a good people person.
Yeah, I think you do to be any form of estate agent. Yeah, I think you do. And as I say, I genuinely love my job. I love my company.
You can feel that. You can feel the energy with it. Moving forward, then, what is it you're going to do that's going to be a little bit outside the box again?
I can't say everything just yet. But there's
a little teaser.
You've got to be innovative. You have to build the business that you'd be afraid of losing business to. And that's also what it's about. It's about constantly pushing and creating something that's going to look different, grab attention, and ultimately make you stand out better than your competitors. And
do you sometimes lie in bed and go, ding, there's
all
an idea?
all the time. The biggest brainstorming sessions I have, I run a lot. So when I'm out on one of my runs, morning runs, evening runs, or whatever, that's the time, because I have complete focus on just making sure I don't fall over. But that's my focus time, and that's, I think, are a lot of the ideas for the videos and the content and everything else that I put out there, and the way, and it could be anything down to the way that we operate, or literally anything. And that's where the majority of my ideas come from. I do meet up with my business partners regularly as well, and we have days where literally we clear the diary and we'll sit there and all 23 of us we'll throw ideas onto the table, manipulate them, create something new.
You get into a big room and
that's it. Yeah. So we tend to do that at least once a quarter, and it's just good for brainstorming sessions. Everyone's very supportive of each other.
Does it include alcohol?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't?
Strangely, it doesn't. No, we're pretty good like that. I mean, if you cut us loose of an evening in a bar, then you had a different story. But no, during the working day, no,
on the job.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Coffee and tea only. But yeah, so it's a very supportive network as well.
So when you do like the videos and you do the completion with the pack, etc., is that across the brand? So are your colleagues doing the same sort of thing, or you all got individuality?
There's individuality to it, although yes, it's something which we all do, because we all share the same view that it's important. But I guess the way that I do mine, mega bespoke, if you will. As I say, I send through several orders a week to my florist to pick up or deliver on certain days, and and I'll go out. As I say, I get everything bespoke in that respect. In terms of sorry, I think it's my phone going off. Sorry, I will go out and say you buy for your audience. So if I've got a family with a dog or a cat or something, there'll be something for the dog and the cat in there.
And everybody goes, oh, that's really lovely.
It's just a final sort of touch to say, in most cases, thanks for the business, because I don't think that's said enough.
No, I don't think so, because they get right off. As soon as you've exchanged, you kind of lost the people, haven't you?
Well, the agent's commission is near enough guaranteed. From my perspective, obviously I don't get paid until we complete. So the job isn't done until those keys are handed over, and I see them into their new home. So it's just about
maybe traditional agents think once you've exchanged, you're more or less who's going to drop out. Some people do. I know.
I mean, I say touch wood, in 23 years never happened. But I appreciate their circumstances can happen. But I think a lot of agents, fine, great, our invoice goes out on exchange.
Done, yeah.
It's going to come in. But as far as I'm concerned, the job's not done. As soon as exchange happens, you make arrangements for the day. Right, this is what time I can be there. Does that work with you? And we do it that way.
Can I ask as well, whilst we're here today, how since lockdown, all the restrictions have been lifted, are you finding you're selling more properties? Are more people selling?
I don't think more people are starting to sell. That's been the problem with the way the market's been over the past 18 months now. It's just been strangled of supply. Buyer demand has continued to rise. Estate agency the industry was very lucky that after the first initial 6-month lockdown, that agents were released to be able to actually go physically inside other people's homes again. So whilst you couldn't go and see your mum for a cup of tea, your estate agent could. But it was a bit strange. But I think that certainly helped the industry. Now, what created this whole crazy bonkers market that we are still in was just the lack of supply. People weren't wanting to move, weren't wanting to try and move during the middle of a pandemic, and there was a lot of uncertainty in the whole world as to where this was all going to go. And obviously, there's current things going on in the world at the moment, which are horrific, but and we still don't know what kind of effect that's going to have.
Makes everybody wobbly, doesn't it?
It does, and I think at the moment there are more properties coming on. We're heading into springtime now, and that traditionally is a time where you do start to see more property coming on the market. Buyer demand is still super high, and the property I listed on Friday last week, on Destinger Park in Deepcut, beautiful house, but it's already getting several offers on, and I'm being inundated with viewings, and that's kind of the typical kind of scenario for those kind of properties at the moment. And I think there's also a bit of an issue, and if you ask most buyers at the moment, they're struggling to even be allowed in to see properties at the moment,
very true.
Which is it's difficult, and I understand where agents are coming from when they have their open days and they allocate 2 hours of a day and say, right, well, once that's full, it's full. Buyers are not being allowed to view properties. Now, I think that's wrong, because you're not. What if one of those buyers, you're not allowing it? What if they're going to be the best buyer? What
if
they're
they were
going
the cash buyer who was going to go in and buy it?
That's it. And I think and I don't think many sellers realise
allocating 15 minutes of viewing. What's that about?
It's not long enough, but I've had to do it as well on a smaller property. So anything sort of under a 3-bedroom, you can just about do that. But really, you need 20 minutes, half an hour per viewing, and that's generally how I work. I don't want to rush people around. It's too stressful. Big decision.
It is, isn't it? You spend more looking at a handbag.
You do.
Well, I don't, but you know.
You spend more time trying on a pair of jeans or shoes than you do looking at houses these days. It's
looking
terrible.
at a menu.
But it's true, and therefore I think there's just ways and means that I think the whole industry can be made better, and that's really again why I set out to do things the way that I'm doing them.
So that's why you have the advantage. If you've done a little video alongside it, people have seen that property, so they go, "Oh, I'd like to see that for myself."
Yeah. That's again the whole point of doing the videos, and they say the videos, they take a lot of work. They're a couple of hours worth of filming. There's a few hours worth of editing. So it can be a quick process. I can still have properties listed and launched in a day. That's not a problem. But we want to make it right. I want to make sure that every video I put out, it's representing me and my brand.
And are your commission structures different?
No, they're the same. It works on a percentage. Or it can be fixed fees. That tends to be the way. One thing there isn't is upfront costs and extra costs. So some agents say, "Oh, well, you can upgrade to our premium video marketing package now," but they're going to charge people for it. And I understand why, because they don't have necessarily the skill set and the ability and the time to make the videos, for example, like I am. But that's the advantage I've got, because I'm trained in it, I'm qualified in it. I'm a drone pilot. I'm qualified. I can do everything.
You've got extra.
Absolutely. And because I'm not trying to spin these 100 plates, as in have these 100 properties on the market at any one time, I've got the time to do it. And it's such a big thing for me. So my clients know that they're not going to have this situation where they're never going to be able to get hold of me, where they have to phone an office and the office shuts at 6, then they can't get hold of me, or they have to wait for me to reply to an email. WhatsApp me. It's fine. I'll reply to you. It's not a problem. That's my promise back to every single client, is that you're not going to have a problem getting hold of me. It can be done in any way, shape or form these days. I popped over to Venice last weekend, not the weekend, John, just the weekend before that. Only from Friday morning to Sunday afternoon. Told my clients it was fine. Still dealt with a few bits and bobs while I was on a boat. It was great. It was fine. Great. It was easy.
Sitting there sipping a gin
Absolutely.
on a boat.
And I've got a very, very understanding other half.
Well, if you're going to run your own business, you've got to be like that, haven't you?
Absolutely.
It's either sink or swim on that regard.
That's how he survives. Indeed.
Exactly.
So if anyone wants to use your services?
Several ways of getting hold of me. Obviously, mobile numbers, etc., WhatsApp, email. Generally, the best way, and this is what I advise most people to do that don't necessarily know me or know about me, have a look on Instagram or Facebook. It's simply Chris Gray Avocado Property. Search for it, you'll find it on there. But you'll see everything I do. So rather than me sitting here saying, I do this differently, I do that differently, you can see it all on there. Everything's on there with what I do and how I do it. From the listing process to the completion day. It's all on there and it can be seen, and obviously I can be messaged directly from there.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me again.